teaching of listening comprehension. So here is the title of our program: the Summer Year Opening and Mind-Sharpening Program, or SEOMSP. And here are the 5 identified problems in listening comprehension. First, we have the unfamiliar context or vocabulary. Second is sounds discrimination among homonyms, the homophones, and the homographs. The third is the lack of time to process the information, lack of concentration and anxiety about longer text. The fourth is the low of critical thinking skill while listening to a certain text due to the less of prior knowledge. Then the last one is the cultural differences. And these are the 5 common problems in listening comprehension among students.
So here is the rationale of our program. Listening is a receptive skill. This means that listening is a process in which you do not produce but receive, or you only decode the information you heard. This involves mental ability to process the information perceived in your brain to construct or to infer its meaning. In addition to Roast 2002 and Hamuda 2013, listening comprehension is an interactive process in which listeners are involved in constructing meaning. Listeners are able to comprehend the information through sound discrimination, schemata, grammatical structures, the intonations, and stress, and other linguistic features. It is a fundamental skill for us since we are capable in acquiring the language in order for us to communicate towards other people. And listening comprehension is very important because if you do not have this kind of skill, this will lead into misunderstanding or misinterpretation of the information perceived. According to Zara Rijay 2016, listening plays a significant role in daily communication and educational processes since listening is part of our daily routine. It requires comprehension skill when we interpret information, especially when we listen to someone who is talking, when we listen to radio, television, report, or even music. Poor listening comprehension affects students' performance in terms of word recognition, the words which are very unfamiliar to them, when they are distracted by the outside noise or the classroom is not conducive for learning. Hearing problems could not easily catch up the difference between the different voices, so these problems are stated by Case 2008. So these problems are common in terms of difficulty in listening, but along with these problems, there are various activities that are fixed and prepared in order for it to be catered and attained. The purpose of this design program is to contribute positive impact that can aid students who are facing difficulties in listening comprehension, help to address the listening comprehension problems through various activities using ICT-based and games which could possibly cater the students in promoting and improving comprehension through listening.
The objectives of the SEOMSP program are: this can promote and improves their listening comprehension skills, which brought a lot of impact to the students in enhancing their listening ability during summer vacation. This program will sharpen the mind of the learners to be more attentive in constructing meaning of the text, to involve the students to a wide variety of activities which could cater their needs in terms of listening comprehension and expose the students, engage them with different listening comprehension situations and activities, If the students already achieve the high level of comprehension, this would be considered as their springboard in achieving another macro skills in English simultaneously. The program description of the Summer Ear-Opening and Mind-Sharpening program. This program is an ear-opener for the students that eradicates the barriers in listening and helps students become more active and attentive listeners. A mind sharpener will furnish the metacognition of the listeners to think critically. This can aid the students who were challenged in listening comprehension that affects their performances on how they would interact inside the classroom. This program was bombarded with lots of effective activities and ICT games that will engage and enhance the students' listening comprehension skill. This program sounds like exclusive for summer outreach or events. We decided to name this program as Summer Ear Opening and Mind Sharpening Program since we gave an emphasis on students' physiological and psychological aspect. These involved the sense of hearing, which we considered as the recipient of information. The mind that would interpret various information we grasp into a meaningful reaction or response. Teaching of listening comprehension is quite a big challenge for a teacher in handling heterogeneous students. This is on how he or she will cater their needs in order to achieve this competency. Thus, this proposed program aims to contribute this kind of strategy in order to target the desired learning outcomes that we want our students to be well equipped.
So how to conduct this program? First, we approach to the DepEd superintendent or supervisor for approval or confirmation for the professional authority and DepEd for validation and formal conduction to this kind of program. So we appeal to approach the school principal of our participant to disseminate information for the free summer classes exclusive for grade 7 students. And there will be a free registration on the 3rd week of March with a minimum of 25 students who can participate this summer class. Then asking permission to the school head or principal for the accommodation, venue, and facilities for the participants shall be permitted. And these are the classroom in conducting classes, speech laboratory, or the ICT room as part of our instructional materials to have more effective teaching and learning process which could provide quality education for the students. For the security and safety for the students, we will send waiver for parents' consent for their children to participate the Summer Ear Opening and Mind Sharpening program, and also to the community officials to be aware that there will be classes ongoing this summer. The desired schedule for proper classes is on April 1 up to 30 MWF. Then there will be 2 hours per session starting at 8 a.m. in morning and until 10 a.m. So this is a sort of promoting awareness to our different high schools that there is a new proposed program. The Summer Ear Opening and Mind Sharpening program has something to do in elevating teaching learning process to most teachers who are teaching listening comprehension, and this might implemented as soon as possible based from its effectiveness to the students' performances. So as the overview of this program, in order to attend this program, we prepared a lot of games and ICT-based activity in order for the students to listen creatively and to construct meaningful response. So here are the pre-listening activities: about my culture, conversational rephrasing, message relay, who, what am I, a warm-up activity, song dictation with differentiated instruction. So about my culture, this activity will address to problem number 4, which is the low critical thinking skill while listening to a certain text due to the less of prior knowledge. So this activity, the teacher allows every student to share or express something about their culture, custom, law, tradition, and etc. The class will listen carefully to the one who is sharing his or her culture. Once everybody has done sharing, the teacher gives 2 minutes to brainstorm and refresh the information they gathered from different cultures. Then groups of 3 to 4 students will choose at least 3 cultures they have remembered and write the important things they have learned from different culture, tradition, and etc. on their paper. For each item, example, Muslim culture about Ramadan. The group will write 1 or 2 sentences describing Ramadan and expand the explanation to several sentences. Finally, the group will explain why it is important to Muslim culture. So here are the materials and preparation in this activity. First, we prepared an worksheet for direction, example, and place to write sentences. The second one is a dictionary for the students will look up unfamiliar words or unfamiliar vocabulary. Then the last one is example, Ramadan culture for the Muslim people. So here is the second activity in the pre-listening activity, which is conversational rephrasing. So this activity will address to the second problem, which is sounds discrimination among homonyms, the homophones, and the homographs. So the teacher groups the students into 4 and then provides each group a 1 blank sheet of short bond paper. She then reads aloud situation with a conversation twice. Then, the students will listen to the situation carefully and try to identify the errors found in the conversation. Example of the conversation. The mother and her son talked about the upcoming birthday party. The mother asked her son, "Sweetheart, what do you want in your birthday?" The son replies, "Mom, I really wanted to have a big cake and a lot of foods because I invited my classmates to eat our house." Then the mother replies, "Really? That sounds great. How much cakes would you like?" And the son responds, "I would like to have 2 cakes." So this conversation sounds awful and funny, right? So the students are going to rephrase and the conversation to make the conversation correct and write it in the bond paper. Then 1 representative from each group will read the answer aloud in front of the class. So here are the materials in the conversational rephrasing. First is the bond paper. Second is the sample conversation. So here is the third activity in pre-listening. The who or what am I? A warm-up activity. So this activity will address to the problem number 4 and 5, which are the low critical thinking skill while listening to a certain text due to the less of prior knowledge and cultural differences. This activity helps to develop the students' listening skills by having concentration to listen the given hints. Then the students will be placed in groups of 4 to 5 members. Groups will be numbered from 1 onwards and a scoreboard will be written out. Students must listen carefully to 3 hints and try to guess the things or person as quickly as possible by raising their hands. Alternatively, each group will be given a chance to answer, and if they cannot answer correctly, the next group can try to answer, and so on. Then, each hint is worth points. That is, if students can guess by hint number 1, they can receive 30 points. Thereby, hint number 2 is worth 20 points and hint number 3 is worth 10 points. If a 4th hint is needed, this will be worth 5 points. The focus will be on 10 questions about things, example, food, sports, and etc. and people or people. So this activity can also be used to review previously studied content. When there are only 2 to 3 questions left, points also be increased. To enhance the competition, the group who have earned the most points by the end of the game are the winners. So here are the materials and preparation. So first, the teacher prepares a list of 10 questions with 3 hints each, as well as an extra hint for each question. So if in case students cannot guess by the 3rd hint, here is an example of a person question. For example, Lady Gaga, hint number 1. I am famous for my great fashion style and my beautiful voice. Then the hint number 2, I am a female American pop singer. Then the hint 3, one of my famous songs is Just Dance. Then the extra hint, which is the hint number 4, the first part of my name is Lady. So that is the 4th hint. So additional materials, the scoreboard, and then the Lady Gaga, the person to be guessed or to be described by the students. Then the 4th game in pre-listening activity is called song dictation with differentiated instructions. So this activity will address to the problem number 3, which is lack of time to process the information, lack of concentration, and anxiety about longer text. So the students are grouped into 3, the A, B, and C. So the group A, students listen and fill in the blanks. Then the group B, students listen and fill in the blanks with initial and final letters. Then the group C, students listen and choose the correct words from 2 options. In this way, the students have better motivation and interest in the activity. Students work individually. The song plays twice. Next, since the blanks on different worksheets are in the same place, the answer can be shown on the screen and be checked together in class. And preparation in this activity. First, choose the songs with clear voice. The second one is record or download the songs in advance to avoid the internet disconnection problem. Then listen and decide the blanks. Every 7 to 8 words and make a blank. Leave time for students to spell the words. Don't quiz students on mixed chores. Then in the 5th procedure, leave students 1 minute to check their spelling before checking the answers. If the songs is too long, just carry out a partial song dictation. Example, Vincent, a very long song. Then, related activity. Ask students to express their ideas by writing a dialogue or a letter to their loved ones. And then finally, the teacher will ask the students about what is the meaning or the message of the song in their own interpretation. So, we prepared materials. So as we play this song, the students will listen to this song, and then afterwards, they will be asked some questions. So much for that. Let's proceed to another activity.
So, in while listening activities, there are 5 activities we prepared. So the first one is the storytelling. The second, dinners and waiters. The third, playing audio tape. The fourth, clip listening and watching. And the last one is the pets are people too. So, for the first activity, we have storytelling. This activity will address the problem number 1, 3, and 4, which are unfamiliar context or vocabulary, lack of time to process the information, lack of concentration, and anxiety about longer text, and low critical thinking skill while listening to a certain text due to the loss of prior knowledge. So the teacher lets the students to find their comfortable seats inside the classroom. Once they have found their seats, she then asks the students to close their eyes while she plays the calm music. The students will try to imagine the story being retold by the teacher. Example of the story about the aged mother. After retelling the story, students try to open their eyes smoothly and take a deep breath for a moment. Then, the teacher will conduct a Socratic journal activity by letting the students to construct anything related to the story, the aged mother. Either the students will make a graphic organizer or illustration about the story, make poem about the aged mother, compose an essay, paint, slogan, poster making, or they have to compose a song. This activity can help the students to develop their critical thinking skill by constructing their own brilliant ideas to create something in an artistic manner or in a creative way. So here are the materials for the storytelling activity. So the teacher will be going to retell the story, the aged mother, while the students will listen to the teacher while closing their eyes.
The Story of the Aged Mother by Natsuo Basho.
So we also have speaker and handouts for the materials. So for second activity in while listening, presenting audio tape, in which this activity will address to the problem number 1, unfamiliar context or vocabulary. So this activity is good for while listening comprehension activity, wherein teacher prepares a short audio tape of any English short story. She plays the audio tape twice using 2 speakers to make it audible for everybody. Then, the students are tasked to list down the unfamiliar words they have heard from the story. So after they listed down all the unfamiliar words, each word should be rolled in separately. After playing the audio tape, she then asked the students to form one big circle. Then, the teacher will collect all unfamiliar words written in the rolled paper and put it inside a small box together with the WH questions regarding the story. So when the teacher plays a song and the box must be passed clockwise, and when the music stops, the one holding it will pick one rolled paper and answer the question. If the student picks the unfamiliar word, he or she will define the word and use it in a sentence. The box must continue to rotate among the students until no more rolled paper left inside the box. In this activity, it will help to unlock some unfamiliar words and discover the overall thoughts and content of the story. If the story has a lot of peculiar words, it's hard for them to understand the meaning of the story when they are just simply listening to the audio tape. This activity will trigger the students' listening comprehension skills on how they interpret and comprehend the text through listening. So for the third activity, it is called Pets Are People Too. So this activity will help to address the problem number 5. It is the cultural differences. So the objective of this activity is to review previous information, to gather information from a partner through interviewing, and to discuss opinions with a partner. So here are the procedures for this activity. For exercise number 1, there is a reviewing happens. So the students listen to a short passage and then answer true or false questions about it. So for exercise number 2, there will be an interview in which the students first write their own answers and then ask partner and take note of partner's answers. So there are 7 questions that are being asked to their partner. So when I say move, they will change partner and repeat the process. So for exercise number 3, there will be a discussion. The students first write their answers and then share their opinion with their partner and discuss the answers. So there are 4 questions that the students need to answer. So after the interview, the teacher asked the students to name at least 3 classmates who have almost the same answer in the exercises. Then, let the students compose an essay out of the information they gathered from their classmates about importance of pet into our lives. So here are the materials for this activity. So in the first picture, it is handouts, and for the second picture, it is a questionnaire. So for the fourth activity, it is clip listening and watching. So this activity will help to address the problem number 4, the low critical thinking skill while listening to a certain text due to the loss of prior knowledge. In this activity, the teacher divides the students consisting of 6 members per group. The teacher plays a short video clip once and lets the students predict the main idea of the story. Each members of the group discuss their answers for 5 minutes and let them present their output in front of the class afterwards. After that, the teacher plays again a short video clip to check if their answers are correct. So here are the materials for clip listening and watching. So this is the sample video clip for this activity.
Daddy is the sweetest daddy in the...
So that is the sample video for the fourth activity. So in post-listening activities, there will be 4 activities: Jeopardy, News Round, Natural Disasters, and Understanding Population. So we are here in the post-listening activities. So there are 4 activities in post-listening. The first one is the Jeopardy. The second, the News Round. The third, Natural Disasters. And the last one is the Understanding Population Growth. So the first activity is the Jeopardy. This activity helps to address the problem number 2, the sounds discrimination among homonyms, the homophones, and the homographs. Quiz break. This is an ICT game which allows teacher to create fun and interesting game to capture the students' attention to participate this game. Students can work in groups and listen to the paragraph twice and answer the comprehension questions. So, sample question. What was Mr. Utterson? So, there are 4 choices. Groups compete with each other. If one group get the right answer, this group can get 1 point. Teachers can design the Jeopardy in daily lessons as warm-up or wrap-up activities. So, here are the materials for the Jeopardy activity. The scoreboard, the computer set, and the question and the choices. So for the second activity, it is called News Round. This activity will address the problem number 5, the cultural differences. This activity can improve the listening ability of the students through feeding audio for news report. So here are the procedure. Part 1, split the class into group of 3 and 4. Then, pre-listening vocabulary list, ask students to guess the meanings of the unfamiliar words in the context. Then, the teacher plays an audio about the news report and the students will listen to the news twice. Students discuss with their group about the news and give them 10 minutes to create a news story based from the news report. The newspaper story must have a headline or a caption for the news. Tell the students that each of them must write at least 2 or 3 sentences about the story, so that all students will be contributing. So for the part 2, when all the stories are complete, have the students come to the front and present their news story to the class as a real live news piece. Have the students make sure they have a defined role in the presentation. News broadcaster, interviewer, interviewee, or etc. Have the teacher record the presentations using a video camera. So for the part 3, watching back each of the group's presentations. Have different groups analyze and evaluate a different group. After, gather students for a peer-to-peer discussion on how they could have done better and what they need to improve on in the future. So here are the materials for the news round. So for the first picture, it is the A3 bond paper. For the second, the newspaper. For the third, the glue. And for the fourth, the video camera. And for the last one, the color pen.
So for the third activities in post-listening in our program is all about natural disasters. So this activity will help to address the problem number 5, which is cultural differences. So this activity talks about different types of natural disasters and Tohoku earthquake and tsunami that occurred in March 11, 2011. So with the use of audiovisual clip present in the PowerPoint, speakers, video clips in presenting natural disaster, this could broaden the mind of the students to react about the serious disasters occur in our environment by formulating a hypothesis and inferences that they will do if this disaster will happen. This activity also helps the students in learning also different cultures of their classmates inside the classroom. So this is good in teaching heterogeneous or diverse learners inside the classroom. So as I said a while ago that the teacher uses PowerPoint with video clip about the natural disaster, for example, typhoon, hurricane, tornado, volcanic eruption, earthquake, tsunami, avalanche, flood, wildfire, and heat wave were shown to the class. So let the games begin. So first, the students are given 3 minutes to study the 10 natural disasters they heard. New video clip of the natural disasters are shown. So this is a great way to have the students practice the words they just learned. Hands quickly go up. So the teacher and the students who have different language from each other. So the classmates read a sample dialogue where the target is which natural disaster are you most scared of and why? So the students explain the new words. The students then practice the dialogue in pairs. So volunteers are then asked to read. So listening to the prior lesson, teacher will interview another student and will ask, why are you most scared of? Earthquakes, tsunamis, or radiation? So this question became the focus of the listening part. Before this was done, radiation was explained using simple English and explaining what happened at the Fukushima Daiichi plant. So this is happened in some part of the places. So 3 videos were played twice. So the students were asked which disaster is the first student asked most scared of. So some of the responses from the teacher varied as did their natural tones or voice. So students had to listen carefully to the different answers and the accents. So students were also asked why were they most scared of that natural disaster. So students were then asked, which are you most scared of? Earthquake, tsunamis, or radiation, and why? So before having students write, the teacher asked the students same question and vice versa. After giving students some time to write their responses, they were then asked to share their thoughts to the rest of the class. The responses often revealed how many of them felt after the tragedy happened. So the students learned the topic and learning different culture of their classmates as well. So here are the materials and preparation. First, we have the PowerPoint presentation. Second is the short video clip about the natural disasters that I mentioned earlier. Then the speakers to make the video clip audible. Then the common natural disasters. So here are some examples of natural disasters that the teacher presented. Then the last activity for post-listening activity is all about the understanding population growth, that this activity helps to address the problem number 4 and number 5, which are the low critical thinking skill while listening to a certain text due to the less of prior knowledge and cultural differences. So this activity will help students to practice listening to instruction and engage practically with the possible effects of population growth, and to practice thinking critically about a world issue and compose an essay expressing students' own ideas. So here are the procedures. Step 1, students will make a large circle with their desks that is large enough for most students but not all. So in the step 2, write the word overpopulation on the board. Ask students what is word in Cebuano or any languages. Then step 3, write the headline 7 billionth person born on Halloween. So that is the topic or the headline of the lesson. Then use the talking ball to ask students about their reactions to this headline. So in step 4, tell students that each of them represents 200 million people and that the center of the circle is Earth. Explain what over the course of 11 minutes. So they will going to present. Explain what over the course of 11 minutes we will have the world's population represented in the circle. So students should stay outside of the circle until they have been asked to go inside. So in the step 5, set out a jug of water and some Kit Kats, making sure that there is not enough for everyone. And then in step 6, over the course of 11 minutes, have students move from the outside of the circle to the inside, making sure that to add them more slowly for the first 7 minutes and then more rapidly for the remainder of the time. Students should take a cup of water and a Kit Kat as they enter the circle until the sustenance runs out. In step 7, while students are moving into the circle, check in with them, asking if they have enough room to build a house or if they got enough food to eat. Then in step 8, when all of the students are in the circle, do a final check. At this point, the students should be tightly packed into the small space. Explain how some communities are experiencing the effects of overpopulation, such as lack of food and space, and how the costs to build have become more expensive because of these changes. Give real-life examples for context. So, in step 9, students should return to their seats to complete a comprehension reaction worksheet. This activity will help to address the low listening comprehension skills to think critically out of the current issue in the real-life situation. So it helps them to think most possibilities to happen if there is a continuing growth of population. While listening to the instruction, they could be able to visualize in order to build some ideas from the topic. So, here are the materials to be used in this activity. First, we have Kit Kats that are enough for the students. Then jug of water. Then at the center, the classroom chairs used in forming a big circle which represent the earth. Then the cup or the glass Then the last one is the handouts. So in this program, we target 1 month in conducting this program, and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So the number of hours per conduct, 2 hours per session, and every 8 a.m. until 10 a.m. So the target students in this program will only 25 students, exclusive only for grade 7.